What's going on, gamers? It's Village here from Beneath the Veil, and welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a topic that's often overlooked in lower elos, but holds immense importance in the game and is arguably the most important item to master in order to gain MMR, the Magic Stick. In this video, we'll dive deep into the world of Magic Sticks and explore exactly why mastery of this particular item and integrating it into your Dota 2 arsenal is so critical to success in the game these days. As most of you will know, Magic Stick is an inexpensive, low-tier item that provides players with a game-changing advantage. At its core, the Magic Stick is an item that stores charges whenever an enemy hero you can see within 1200 radius of you uses an ability. It can store up to 10 charges, and each charge restores 15 health and mana when activated. When upgraded into Magic Wand and Holy Locket, the charges are doubled to 20 for a total burst regeneration of 130 HP and mana at max charges. Sounds simple, right? But here's why it's so important. The Magic Stick is particularly crucial during the early game phase. Most heroes have limited resources at this stage, and every bit of health and mana counts. On top of this, most spells are at their most impactful and powerful at these early stages of the game, as with time and levels, you'll get attributes and items that give you health, magic resist, and the like. When your opponents cast spells within range, you gain charges, allowing you to turn the tide of battle in your favor. It's a game changer when you're in a tight spot, and those clutch charges to give you 150 HP and mana can often mean the difference between life and death in the very early game, when heroes are still low level and can really outright burst for those damage numbers. Over the years, Valve has pushed more and more for gold to be earned through hero kills over creep kills, and for this reason it's more important now than ever to ensure you aren't giving away free kills in the early game. Magic Stick is critical to master. Another key aspect of the Magic Stick is its psychological advantage. Opponents might not expect you to suddenly regain health and mana in the middle of a fight, catching them off guard. This element of surprise can lead to outplays, makes your opponents second guess all of their engagements, or perhaps they overcommit in a situation they think they're converting a kill, and instead get themselves killed in the process due to you buying just enough time for an ally to rotate in. This is why in a lot of cases, upgrading to a magic wand is so critical in order to double the amount of potential burst heal you can give yourself. Cost efficiency is also a huge factor in Magic Stick's power. The Magic Stick is incredibly affordable, making it accessible to every hero. It can be upgraded into a magic wand later into the laning phase for even more charges, providing you with additional sustain and flexibility without breaking the bank. When to do this, or if you should at all, really depends on the heroes you're playing against and which ones you're regularly engaging with throughout the course of the game. We'll go over this in a moment. Keep in mind that in some cases, you should be looking for another item to solve the issue of you suddenly losing a chunk of your HP, but we'll go over this in a future video. Different heroes benefit from the Magic Stick in unique ways. Some heroes, like Bristleback, Pudge, and Timbersaw, are constantly in the middle of the fray of a team fight and accrue charges rapidly. Others, like support heroes, can potentially look into upgrading their Magic Stick right up into a Holy Locket to keep their teammates alive during critical moments, as Holy Locket passively gains a charge every 10 seconds. It's feasible for Holy Locket wielders to always be able to deal out at least a single burst heal of 300 HP and mana to whichever ally needs it. As supports often enjoy accruing the Lotuses and their upgraded variants over the course of a game, support players with quick fingers can often burst heal a dying core and make what would have been an unfavorable engagement into an outright stomp. Understanding your hero's needs alongside your team's and how the Magic Stick and its upgrades factor into your overall game strategy is essential. With all that said, what heroes should you look out for that make Magic Stick an instant purchase? Consider heroes who like to regularly use spells to secure CS or harass you, and consider the range limitations of the hero's capability to do so. Also consider whether you can force them to cast spells in order to give you free regen. If you have a good idea that you're going to be facing these sorts of heroes in lane, you should look to start the game with a Magic Stick and quickly upgrade to a Magic Wand. If not, pick up a Magic Stick with your first 200 gold after the bounty runes. If you think you won't be facing these heroes immediately in lane, you can look towards finishing a couple minor items like boots or an urn first, but by the time you're moving out of your starting lane, you should make sure you've got a Magic Wand ready to go. As a general rule of thumb, we'd advise to make sure you have a Magic Stick online before you hit level 6 if it's a halfway decent stick game. When it comes to rushing a wand, heroes like Bane, Bristleback, Crystal Maiden, Disruptor, Lich, Phantom Assassin, Puck, Shadow Demon, Skywrath Mage, Undying, Vengeful Spirit, Venomancer, Warlock, and Zeus all warrant an immediate rush, as they usually spam spells in the early laning phase to either clear creeps, pressure heroes, or keep themselves safe, and the stack storage of up to 20 will greatly offset the amount of damage that they do to you through their spells, and massively alleviates the pressure on healing you need through tangos and healing cells, which ultimately saves you money in the long run, which would either be lost to buying healing items or straight up lost on death. Conversely, heroes like Lifestealer and Ursa, who have kits made up of a heavy amount of passive abilities, shouldn't be using many active spellcasts that give Magic Stick or Wand purchase much value at all. Similarly, it's important to think about heroes that like to play outside of the lane or outside of your vision that might not give you that benefit, since you do actually have to see the hero casting the spell and they need to be within range in order to give you that charge. So if you think about heroes like Keeper of the Light, he often stands in fog and bursts you with his Illuminate. You think about a hero like Sniper, even though he's casting shrapnel in lane, he's often standing too far away to give you that charge. Heroes like Viper don't actually give you a stick charge if he uses his Q, which is his poison attack on you. It's only when he uses his W that you'll actually get a charge, or if he uses his ult, you'll get one as well. A hero like Spectre is primarily passives, except for his Spectral Dagger and his ult, so you're not going to be getting a lot of charges out of him. A hero like Earth Spirit is typically going to be putting his Stone Remnant down in fog and rolling in, so you'll typically only get 2 charges out of him once he's already on top of you, once he uses his Boulder Smash and Geomagnetic Grip. And a hero like Elder Titan, generally, if played well in lane, is only going to be using his Astral Spirit, and he'll typically be casting that out of range of you to give you a stick charge, and then he'll be calling it back and then just running you down. So it's important to think about these things. When picking up a wand, you want to make sure that they're using spells actively in lane, and that you're getting value out of the range necessary. The early laning stage is also the best time to practice getting used to regularly monitoring your charges and accurately using them, as the later the game goes, the more moving parts there are to factor in and the less effective the burst heal becomes. What typically ends up happening is that somewhere in between the 6 to 20 minute mark, you'll be using a lot of those charges to just give you a quick burst. You can keep collecting charges. It's much more in those early phases of the game where those first couple of kills are really crucial. You can end up doing a lot of this outplay, the same way that you do with Fairy Fires. For those players who are playing on the outer lanes, consider how the 2 heroes you're laning against like to play the lane. If the enemy duo is spamming spells in lane, then it can be a good idea to get a magic wand. However, if the enemy support is primarily using their spells to harass your support outside of the lane, where you as the core hero aren't in range to get charges, it can be a good idea to hold off on upgrading your stick to a wand until there are more active rotations starting to come out and more spells being cast in range of you. Monitor your stat count, and if you're often hitting 10 charges while still on full HP, it's a good indication that you should upgrade to a wand for extra storage. There are more advanced tips we could give regarding this item, but we'll throw it over to those of you watching the video. If you've got any other tips for stick and wand outplays, leave them in the comments below for those newer players to read through. Before we wrap things up, a quick note on itemization. When it comes time to start selling items in order to make item slots available for more powerful ones, it's nearly always correct to sell off a magic stick or wand first. We would, however, caution players to consider whether or not it's an intelligent idea to sell off their wand in favor of a component item, or if it's smarter to backpack or stash the components and keep the wand online in an active slot until you've outright purchased the item that's replacing it. In a lot of cases, having that burst heal in your back pocket is far more helpful than an additional 5 to 20 damage or 10 to 300 HP. Something to consider as the correct choice changes with the context of every game. In conclusion, the magic stick is a small item with a mighty impact on your Dota 2 matches. It's not about having the flashiest gear, it's about understanding the fundamentals and using them to your advantage. Don't underestimate the power of this humble stick. It might just be the key to victory in your next game. Thanks for watching. If you found this information helpful, give us a thumbs up and please consider subscribing if you haven't already. Good luck and happy gaming.